out soon where I talk about that very thing where every day should be treated like a holiday. If you love and respect people, you should always treat them with love and respect. So don't let one day be the differential. Just keep it 100. Keep it real. Tell people you love them, give them their flowers. You don't need a holiday or this time just to say I'm thinking of you. Don't be material. Just, keep it 100. So that's how I feel about it. I keep that story short, simple, and sweet. You know, if you're celebrating Kwanzaa or something, that's every day of a candlelight. What's up, Ted? Glad you on. I told you I was coming through. I'm gonna do it today and tomorrow, so I'm gonna do it back to back. I usually don't. Feel free to ask questions. I got time. Let's get into it. Appreciate you as always. But that's my thoughts and takes about that. If you do, you don't. It's a tough time. People have lost loved ones. People have gone through a lot of different things. It's a tough time. So, and take that in consideration with all that, you know. Um, but prayers and thoughts, at the end of the day, every day you treat people like it's the last. Flowers. Don't need a special day to say happy birthday. Tell someone you love them, that you care about them. Keep your ears on. Mental health is a reality. Stress, tension is real. So, yes, he did. I remember that day very well. I remember Michael Jackson, Al Sharpton, etc. in there, MC Hammer on stage. I remember what that was like, and that was a powerful statement. Man, that was. Do you know they just got through finishing burying him properly about early this year? Yeah, it's a shame what they did with that goal because they're moving his body and his estate. Just sad. But music royalty had his demons, like most do. But we want to look at the best side of it. But yeah, I have his book. I had a couple of his books. He didn't really reveal a whole lot, but he was like, well, yeah, 2006. Mm-hmm. I remember like yesterday. Hard to believe when you say it like that, but yeah, feels just like yesterday. Feels just like when Richard Pryor died. It was 05. It was like some huge back-to-back years of some of the most important Black entertainers that spoke and represented on a real high level. Paid a lot of dues. That was a time I remember. So, yeah, definitely. And then sometimes you just have to have those moments and reflections. Like George Michael died on Christmas Day in 2016. I remember that just like yesterday, too. He was another one of my favorites. So you remember these times. Take nothing for granted. Nothing is to be taken for granted. Life is shorter than you think. We sit here and talk about sports, entertainment, and things we remember. And it just seems just like yesterday, but then sometimes you're thinking, wow, that really was like back then. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, I did that in my video. That's one of the videos I did about, and I have other debates I was talking about. We was talking about top 4 receivers that Randy Moss was talking about his receiver core. I got into it about what I thought about who would be on my NFL wide receivers Rushmore today. It would be Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, and Tyreek Hill. And with a nod to Michael Irvin, a nod to Larry Fitzgerald, a nod to Marvin Harrison, a nod to James Lofton, Andre Reed, some other guys. Lance Allworth, some guys like that. But that's the guys. And then I talked about the NBA Hall of Fame. Vince Carter, yes. Then after that, Chauncey Billups, he's almost very good. And Sean Marion, who's good. I take Robert Horry over both. Because Vince Carter don't really need anyone to go in the Hall of Fame with him. He really don't. If they did like baseball, and the sad part about Vince Carter is you just wish he had won a ring or something because he had everything that you could imagine. I mean, he was a freaky skilled talent. Just didn't have that mental tangible. That's the only thing that didn't finish him off. But for a window, he was the most exciting thing the NBA had. Baddest thing. Now, I don't No, no. But you know what? The way they go on with the NBA, they'll put him in. But no, not to me. If Robert Ory can't get in, Jamal Crawford can't get in. And Jamal had handles, and him and Jason Terry went to Rainier Beach in Tacoma, Washington. I'm familiar with all that. I just no. He played a long time, but no. And sometimes you forget what the criteria is for a Hall of Famer because, I mean, when I got to look at Chauncey Billups and Shawn Marion for Hall of Fame behind Vince Carter, I'm like, yeah, they got rings, and Chauncey's got a Finals MVP, but I don't look at Chauncey Billups as Finals MVP like I do Dwayne Wade or Dirk Nowitzki. Just don't. He had a very good player and strong, but he's not one of my favorite point guards. He's not in that argument. And they were never the best. I used to have a buddy, we used to sit there and talk about cats all the time. And I'm notorious for putting guys on tiers. And I said, Chauncey's a 2.5 tier, almost two tier. Well, that and a funky attitude because he got into it with Jerry Sloan, who was his best coach. And you remember that turkey crying about, I want to go back home, went to Dallas, and what happened? Him and Carlos Boozer had some crazy turkey saying that they were the new Stockton and Malone. And I remember when D. Diddy was one of the 3 best point guards going in the league because it was him, it was Rondo, and it was Chris Paul. And to be honest with you, Darren was more scary than those other two as far as his offensive productivity. Yeah, Boozer, I'm going to tell you something. The only thing Carlos Boozer is known for is the time that Prince rented out his house and then put the symbols for the 3121 project. That's the only thing people remember Carlos Boozer for is a guy that Prince rented the house from and took it for a year and then put it back. Because his NBA career, I think he left Utah, Cleveland, not so much. Yeah, I mean, but let me go over you with this real quick. Kid, Hall of Fame. CP3, Hall of Fame. Even though I think he's a little bit on the overrated side, they slurped him. Rondo was one of my favorite point guards. Rondo, for me, is like what if Magic Johnson and Jason Kidd had a baby because he could beat you without scoring a lot. And he fundamentally knew how to play point. He's a lost art of point guard. He represents a whole different era. He's unique. Darren had a crazy outside shot, could score. Crazy, but just kind of soft tissue. Baron Davis was an athletic freak. Put you like Kevin Johnson, like he was like a freak. But injuries, attitude, he did his own disservice. Because I remember when B. Diddy was a bad dude. And Chauncey became big shot over time. But I wasn't feeling the early part of his career. Not until he got with Larry Brown. Then that's when Chauncey came into big shot, big. But them guys, just on that bottom list, Kid's a Hall of Famer and CP3 is a Hall of Famer. Everybody else, you got to go to law and you got to do a sidebar and negotiate. Now Rondo was probably my favorite of those guys after Kid. Okay. Darren ego got in the way and he messed up that thing in Utah. Baron Davis was a freak for a minute. You caught him with the Hornets and Golden State, but he was also his injuries and he was his own worst enemy. So, but out that bottom list, yeah. On these guys, two of them were stars. I've ever seen because he was a guy who was in the good camp who became a great player, got 2 back-to-back MVPs, and I just didn't quite see him like this. He wasn't in my discussion of the best 00 players, but I give him his credit. He definitely fit the right system with D'Antoni, and he hit. And he made himself into something else. He really did. Tony Parker is very underrated, underappreciated. Like the way he played point, that teardrop would always, that guy had a sick teardrop. Frenchie earned his game. Derek Fisher, Derek Fisher is one of the 10 greatest LA Lakers as far as I'm concerned. And I want to give a shout out to Too Raw for Sports because he had a debate about Derek Fisher or Draymond Green. I take D. Fish. He did more. he wasn't the kind of point guard that against Gary Payton, against Jason Kidd, he wasn't in that class. He wasn't in the class of the top tier dudes. But when he got to Phoenix and got to run that herky-jerky, quick shot, quick offense, and, what I call it the fast food move, then all of a sudden he became like this video game. I mean, it was getting the ball out. He had Skip Bayless calling him the most important point guard situation since Magic and the Lakers. And I don't know about all that. But he fit good, but I didn't think he was a finisher. And I didn't look at him as a point guard that I thought, you're going to win. He's what I look at Steve Nash kind of like I look at Busta Rhymes, Missy Elliott, and Ludacris as way they rap. That's what I call fast bar rappers, fast food rap. Like they, you got to be in that. Blah, 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 blah. But if you make them play half court, you make them have to play a full role, he ain't the same dude. He ain't the same. And that's how I looked at Nash. Nash got exposed. They couldn't beat the Spurs because they would slow him down. They would trap him. And they'd actually have to play pick and roll. And see, Amar and him like to run and go. Energy drink rappers. And that's what Nash was, energy. I don't know if he cheated him out of it. Some people say that. But have you seen CP3 in the playoffs? Ask yourself who cheated who. I think Stern wanted things to be more balanced. They would have to have gotten rid of Lamar and Gasol to push that through. So I don't know. But getting stuck with Nash, Dwight Howard, and D'Antoni wasn't going to work in LA either. And plus, Kobe was a little bit older. And I do believe that time was catching up to him. I do. I think his body started to give out on him 2011, 2012. He had a decent season, but he started to burn, and he couldn't keep up with D'Antoni. Not at that stage of his career. And I still think Phil Jackson is the greatest coach and the best thing that could have happened to Kobe's style. Because D'Antoni would have ran him ragged. And I don't know if that would have worked with the kind of player he was. I just don't think it would have worked. But David Stern, I saw Rasheed Wallace and, your top 5 smallest all time? Well. Larry Bird, of course, who I consider the GOAT. Small forward, Dr. J. LeBron's in there. You could Durant. And you could give a nod to Scotty. Yeah. But I'm going with Larry Bird and Dr. J and then LeBron. I do believe Dr. J's ABA career had been like that, he would have been the best of both worlds of Bird and LeBron, because he did it all. He was a freaking ABA. That's that Dr. J that the NBA needed and they hated at the same time. So Larry Bird, clutch, did everything. I seen him with my own eyes. LeBron's a better athlete, but I can't tell you that he's unequivocally a better player. Can't tell you that. There's a difference between being a better athlete and then a better player. And Larry Bird left a lasting impact, and he beat you in different ways. And he utilized teammates and got things out of them. I've not seen LeBron James have to defer to nobody. I don't know if LeBron could have really played with Robert Parrish and Kim McHale. I know he could have worked with Dennis Johnson. I don't know if he could have worked with Parrish and McHale. I don't know. But I know Larry Bird did. Larry Bird had that. So those guys come to mind. There's some others. I mean, because it gets real debatable. Sharpshooters, well, tell me how you define sharpshooters, because that's kind of a loaded term now. I mean, when I was coming along, we could talk about, what's his butt? Chuck Persons, the rifleman, or we could talk about Dale Ellis, or we could talk about Fred Brown. You got to tell me what your definition, because see, it means different things to different people. I grew up watching the Fred Brown. I saw Dale Ellis. I seen, you can make a case for Michael Ray. He had Ray Allen. I mean, it depends on what your idea of a sharpshooter is. Does Steph Curry meet that criteria? Does I want to say, does Bob McAdoo meet that criteria? Does Dirk Nowitzki meet that criteria? So you got to, does Durant meet that criteria? You got to tell me. Catch and shoot? Well, catch and shoot, it's going to start with Steph. It's going to be Larry Bird. It's going to be Klay Thompson. It's going to be Ray Allen. It's going to be Reggie Miller. But then I want to also give Dirk his due. I want to give Durant his due. So those guys, and Bob McAdoo from going back in the day. You know, those guys come to mind. Klay, healthy, is as great as anyone. Oh, in-game dunkers? In-game dunkers? We talking about in-game dunkers. We're going to talk about Dominique Wilkins. We're going to mention Vince Carter. We're going to say Sean Kemp. Who else I want to pick on? Because I'm not going to go by the usual. I'll make a surprise one, and I'll say this. I'll say Ron Harper. If you didn't get to see him back in the 80s when he was with the Clippers and the Cavaliers, he was the West Coast version of Jordan. He had sprang in his behind. You can make a nod for Jordan in that regard. You can make a nod for Kobe. But guys like Sean Kemp come to mind. Dominique Wilkins. Steve Francis had hops. He had hops. He definitely did. He definitely had a bunny in his foot. And you know what? If it wasn't for Vince Carter being so incredible in that slam dunk contest, because a lot of people forget. They forget about Francis in that dunk contest. He guys were. Jay Rich was nice, but he's forgotten. He was nice, but he's forgotten. I remember his slam dunk contest, and he was nasty, but he's been kind of forgotten. They didn't kind of like kicked him to the curb because he was with Golden State when Golden State was kind of like being in Saudi Arabia. John Moran, I'll give you that currently. He got spring in his behind. He definitely got spring. But sometimes it works against him because if he don't learn how to use that left off the glass, he's more effective when he can rotate his hands. But he got that. See, the problem with these guys that you mentioned and why I don't like, it's because like Zach LaVine and Gordon. Zach LaVine, that's all he do. He shoots some threes, but he's a one-trick pony. Empty calories, don't finish up. And Aaron Gordon, he's playing in a great position with Jokic in Denver. He better use it to his advantage because he could definitely get some rings and look good there. But left his own devices is a reason why he's a role player sidekick. These guys have been forgotten because they don't play no game. They just are athletic freaks. But that's not playing no game. Yeah, Zion got the Shaq Charles Barkley thing in him, but I got a Blake Griffin feeling about him. That's not good. That's the sad part because he is a freak. The way he gets off that left foot and he can get up, he got spring. However, he just doesn't really care. It just shows. And that's a waste because that cat is a freak. He is a freak. I mean, one of the most rawest bone talents I have seen. And if I mention you in the same sentence with Shaq and Barkley, you should be on a Hall of Fame trajectory, not headed towards Blake Griffin postering, but then people forgot what you, the last 5-6 years of your career, what happened to you. And I say that because not saying that Blake didn't stay in shape, but that's all Blake was. And Zion is becoming a guy that I think the one against the Knicks and definitely the one against Minnesota, he did revert. He had some nasty as a dunker. His 360, the tomahawks were nice. They was tight. I wasn't really feeling his slam dunk win though. Because to be honest with you, Isaiah Ryder had the East Coast, the Bay one was. Yeah, Ryder moved me more. Oh yeah, Clyde Drexler was one of my favorite players, the way he would, from college to the pros, you know. But he was actually a really good all-around player. He was great, you know. The only knock against Clyde was leadership quality in Portland. But as far as his skill set, yeah. See, when you mention those guys, all the cats you just mentioned, Kobe and Drexler, those guys are surefire. They were Hall of Famers and they were winners and all that. The other guys, I see potential, but they ended up playing towards a crowd, but they didn't enhance their game. That's why when we were on that discussion, I don't know if you were in there in Too Raw, and they was talking about Sean Kemp being a Hall of Famer, and I said, no. I said, because his audience and time didn't pass. I said, that might have been one of the reasons why LeBron James didn't do the slam dunk contest, because he didn't want to get labeled for just being an athletic freak. And I didn't hold it against him. I got the politics involved, because a lot of these guys you mentioned, that's what they're known for. But their game, Drexler did too. But some of these cats, their games never evolved. And you want to be just known as a dunker. You want to have an all-around game. So good names you mentioned, and I liked them all, but I liked them for their capacity. But John Morant got a chance to do something. If he don't be a knucklehead, don't do nothing stupid, stay on the straight and narrow, he got a chance to be a top 10 player in this league. He's very talented, but he got to lead the team. He need a better coach. Wasn't Dylan Brooks' fault in hindsight. They're just not a real focused team. That's why they sit Derrick Rose down there to work with him. They ain't watching him because he's too young and gifted and talented to be a mess. And Rasheed Wallace did that video, and he was right. Top 5 sports trash talkers? Oh, well, Larry Bird's one of them. Muhammad Ali's one of them. Michael Jordan is one of them. Who else would I pick on? That's a great topic, too. So I got those guys. I got Ali, Jordan, Ali, Jordan. I want to say Pete Rose, Larry Bird. There you go. And I'm going to name some off the top of my head. So that's a great question. I throw Tiger Woods in there because he talked some trash because them cats was coming to him funny. And I forgot what he said, but he had Phil all crazy. He talked to VJ Senior, used to talk crazy trash. Actually, some of them golf players, you'd be surprised. Mike Tyson was a strong trash talker. Boxers usually give you the best sound bites, if you must know. They pretty much know that they can do. Tom Brady, and he do it on the field, and he go right up at you and go crazy. He go at you. So Brady's one of the best trash talkers. Deion Sanders, yep. Reggie Jackson. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a great topic. I appreciate you asking me that. I had to think there for a moment. There was some in all sports. I had to think about all sports. Cats that could talk that. Then Shannon Sharp, he talked that because I remember that whole thing with him in New England. Oh, he was cash. Football players, I say football, boxing, baseball used to have the best trash all around talking. But there are a few in the NBA. Let's see. Who would I say? Because I got to tell you, most of that happened in the 80s and the 90s. I got to the last 20. Maybe, I don't know, I'd say, I thought Angela was set. Taraji for a moment. They need a long weave. If it ain't a weave, they be making them eyes get magical. Who got back on? Let me think. So that's like 3. Let me think. I'd say Brittany had a moment. Brittany had a moment. Out them three, well, Shante bad, boy. I mean, Shante just gets better with time. Okay. Now I'm on track. Now that's what I needed. Thank you. Ashante, Keisha Cole. Okay, Keisha Cole. If Alicia liked dudes, yeah. If she did, if I didn't think she was in hooking bait with fishes, yeah. Jessica Alba was cute. But Ashante for sure. And then remember, yeah. Alicia was stacked. But Ashante and Keisha Cole, yeah. Keisha Cole, yeah. Favorite NBA Finals, top 5? Let's see. I want to say, even though I want to say the Lakers and the Celtics 85, I want to say and I'm just talking about the ones I enjoyed personally. So that one, Lakers Celtics 85. I want to say, because I do like a dominance performance. I want to say Miami against Dallas 06. You know I am about D Wade. That's probably the way he balled. And the way to come back, and it didn't look good. What was that other one? Chicago Phoenix. Yeah, that was exciting. I'll give you that. That's probably my most funnest Bulls finals because that one against Phoenix was unpredictable. I mean, it was crazy. They won in each other's courts, and Barkley got off, Jordan got off, and then Pat hit that shot that stayed in the air forever. So that's one of them. That's 3. Let me see. What else would I mention that I like? I want to say Golden State over Cleveland when Durant was there because that there was that could have gone. That had a moment. That had a moment. Obviously, 2013. Who am I kidding? Miami against the Spurs. It looked like the Spurs are going to win. That went 7 games. So, yeah, I got to say that. I got to say it as a Heat fan and also the Spurs because of who they beat. So, I got to say that. Those are personal. But the Spurs series were always interesting. Even if you didn't like the style of play, them and the Pistons played a great Game 7 finals. That was mano a mano. That was a heavyweight fight. Yeah, because the fact that the Rockets lost those games at home and then they went on the road and had to win and Mariota had to do the kissing and then to come back. That was a crazy series. Crazy. That and nothing about Charles Barkley and Phoenix made sense, really. Because none of their series made sense. They always had to come back or they blew it. They looked like they had more talent than Houston and they found a way to I don't know. Just crazy. Let me get my water real quick. Yeah, you had to make me think though, but yeah, Leon Remedy, yeah. And there was a couple other some bad. Let me think. I'm trying to think. The white girl that I liked a lot. That was Stat that time. I know people are going to want to say Jennifer Lopez. When she was with Puffy, I'll give you that. The Puffy era, her, yeah. It's cute. I wasn't big on her. I'd take Britney Spears over her. Cute. I'll take Jessica Alba over her. But, yeah, Shante, yeah. Alicia, yeah. And Keisha Cole, yeah. Back then. Shakira, yeah, I'll give you that. Shakira she looked, yeah. She had something about her I liked it. Denise Richards, yeah, it's kind of like her and Carmen Electra. Like if I like that generic Valley white girl thing, you know, she was that whole thing with her and Charlie Sheen is crazy because if they were really doing a real Me Too movement or a real cancel culture, she put him out there big time. I'll tell you another one. The chick that used to mess with Hugh Grant, oh God, the British chick, Elizabeth Hurley. Yeah, yeah. And oh God, oh, Mexican actress. Oh, what's her butt? Penelope Cruz. There you go. Yeah. Penelope never, yeah. Penelope Cruz, yeah. If we're going that route. Yeah. Penelope Cruz. Yeah. Yeah. Especially when she was messing between Will Smith and Denzel. The Miami video, and then you get to Training Day. Yeah, that's her peak and prime. And that mold on her face. Yeah, and I did like her in the date movie with Will Smith. Mm-hmm. Hitch. I liked her in Hitch. That was her peak to me. I'll give you that. Good call. See, I had to be reminded because I had to think 60-40 different. She had the face and she was on point, but I still stand by the ones when you mention Ashanti, Leisha, Keisha. I'll throw Penelope Cruz and Eva in there. Yeah, that'll be my top. And Shakira gets honorable mentions. And Puff era J-Lo. J-Lo Puff era, yeah. And yeah, Selma Hayek. I'll stay my Penelope. Selma Hayek, and I already mentioned Angela Bassett. I already said Angela. But Selma Hayek, yeah, I wasn't thinking Selma, yeah. Because Selma gets better with time. And I love Angela Bassett. She stays on point. So yeah. But it took me a little time because get bedazzled by them Hollywood chicks like I did back in the day. See now, Susan Sarandon, nice looking chick, but I get clannish vibes, so I get kind of turned off. Rosie talk too much. Bad though, bad. And believe me, brother, she still get love, but talk too much though. And when she falsely accused Spike Lee and tried to come with that one, I kind of lost a little interest in her, so I'm sorry. But back in the day, she definitely get the love. Sometimes, though, if you do too much, you can kind of turn me off. And some of the times when you mention some of them, I know they wouldn't give brothers the time of day, so that's a turn off too. I'll tell you someone who be bad, but she never looks the same. Like it's almost like it's Lady Gaga. Like one time she looked right, and other times I don't know. So it's kind of strange there. Sometimes like the cameraman got it right, and sometimes it's like I don't know. So, but that's a good. I mean, yeah, you mentioned them, yeah. But Rosie back in the day, Do the Right Thing era up until about White Man Can't Jump. So this is kind of like asking me about Chauncey Billups and Sean Mary in the Hall of Fame. To them three, she is cute, but we sister, just cute. I like Jack K. That's my era. Okay. Tracy Edmonds, if you into the butterscotch, straight hair, leg, but for whatever reasons, cats don't put the ring on it. They use it up and they bounce. So you know, it's one way to look, but she's not a deal finish. It's no fish, no seal envelope. Katy Perry, when she was messing with old boy from Gym Class Heroes, the brother, Travis McCoy, that era of her, yeah, she had a little something on the bone. She messed with Orlando Bloom. She done with brothers. And she faces on point, but it was better back in the day. Yeah, if you go 08 to about 2011 or something, yeah. But T is like cute. It's almost like it's like asking about Raven Simone. It's cute. Man, I'll tell you someone you didn't mention was Tracy Ellis Ross. There you go. There you go. And she might wipe most of them off the board that you mentioned if I was to think. Because I'm glad you kept going because I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Tracy Ellis Ross. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I don't really, again, because I don't know how she roll and see what you can like and what you think, but yeah, that's chicken. If you eat chicken, that's chicken tender dinner right there. Tracy got Tracy for the W. So yeah. But again, it's not like how it once was. I mean, I used to like, if I was in that mindset, but so that's what I said. That's what I said about Ellis Ross. Mm-hmm. Taylor Rocks. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You do. So it all depends on who we talking about. Mm-hmm. That was it as far as that go. Yeah. But and I'm sure there'll be somebody else come to mind. I just can't, again, it's not it's not as pertinent as it was because again, you see them, they come and go, and then of course the industry now, they don't really put a lasting layer on that. So you're kind of like, okay, she was cool, But yeah, getting back to that finals thing, I'd say Miami Spurs 2013. Top 7 all time. My cousin is gonna be number 1, Lawrence Taylor. Changed the game. Dick Buckets, rest in peace. That was a bad man. Ronnie Lott. Deion Sanders. These are just my picks. Jack Lambert. I want to say Darryl Green because the way that man ran down people, I mean, if you could run down a prime Eric Dickerson and Tony Dorsett, he doesn't get his due. And I want to give Reggie White his due, Bruce Smith his due. I mentioned it, yeah. Those guys come to mind, different on the line. Honorable mention to I got to get my phone out and Google. I'm just not thinking right now. Because this guy was one of my favorites too. Derek Thomas. Yeah, but I didn't get my phone out. It's embarrassing. My brain went dead on me with that. Derek Thomas. Bad man. Charles Haley. Bad man. So when you mention this, then I got to think about it. Mm-hmm. Derrick Brooks was bad. So was Warren Sapp. Sapp was one of my favorites. Kevin Green was bad dude for a time too. Charles Haley, though, I'll probably take over them too. You put him anywhere, he won. He came up big. Brooks was bad. Reggie White was bad. You ask me on the front or you ask me on the back? On the back, Deion, Darryl Green, Ronnie Lott. Them 3 for me. Front, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, Charles Haley. And I can make a case for Brooks or I can make a case for Sapp. Michael Strahan was bad too. So, and of course I mentioned Dick Buckets. So you got, I give you about 12 to 15 cats I can name off the top of the dome that I was impressed. Not in the same sense with them guys. He was bad, but if I put the Marcus Ware in it, then I got to mention Mark Gastineau. There's certain guys. When we talking all time, you ask me all the time, I'm thinking about people that come to mind. And some of these people don't come to mind like that. I like Ware, though. Just like I would tell you that Von Miller would get love in another era. Bad boy. But you know, I thought about different guys that come to mind who I like. Randy White was bad for Dallas. Bob Lilly. Alan Page was bad. See, remember, I do this stuff off the top of my head. Ain't no Wikipedia. Because I had to play forever and a day. His whole family was bad because the son played for like all them cats play long. Yeah, he was bad. Mm-hmm. He was bad. I want to give acknowledgement to Fred Dean. Actually, I remember when Matt Millen was a bad player. He sucked as a general manager, he was bigot, but he was bad for the 49ers. Jim Marshall from Minnesota was a bad man. There was a lot. Richard Dent. I just say Richard Dent, Neil Smith. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, but when we talking about the elite of the elite, those are special guys I can come up with. Different era. Bad, though, but different era, though. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I like that when we can, chop it up. Because I got guys who represent different eras for different places, and they meant different things. I mean, you could take Mean Joe Green, you could say Mel Blount, you could take Donnie Shell. I could do most of the Steelers. That's easy. I saw them guys play, and you'll never see another defense like that again because you can't draft like that anymore, and you can't tie cats down like that no more. They were incredible. They were incredible. Mel Blount, Donnie Shell were bad. That's back when Pittsburgh could win with Bradshaw as their quarterback, and Bradshaw was better than what they got now, but not like he was all dreamy. But that's, yeah. So there was some cats that were bad. Mm-hmm. And I know me, there'll be other guys that come to my mind. So top 7 greatest offenses all time. You talking about like offenses like the offense on the side of the ball? Joe Montana especially when Rice and Taylor were on there. NFL, okay. Greatest show on turf, the Rams. That was incredible. Buffalo Bills, K-Gun offense of the 90s. Incredible. Let's say Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Cowboys of the 90s. That was a special offense. They won 3 Super Bowls. They guys could click. When Dion was running patterns, those guys were bad. Yeah, moon orders were bad. I mean, they K-Gun, all that back then, but offenses were special. But I mean, like when I saw teams, I'm thinking about terms of the talent on the teams. Because like I'd say the Steelers 70s with Swan and Stallworth, Bradshaw, Franco Harris. That was incredible what I saw. I think you can say that with Moon. You could say Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Because you got one of the greatest offensive-minded head coaches with one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, and you got Kelsey, and then they had Tyreek. Those guys were freaky. That was a freaky offense. I mean, that was freaky in recent memory. I mean, when you go 5 straight AFC Championship games at the crib, 2 out of 3 Super Bowl wins, and yeah. And they're not what I call a special defense, so their offense did carry a lot of that, so yeah. What's what I pick on? Vikings, yeah, that was a good call. 1 year wonders, but I think they get overridden by the greatest show on turf. I think the Kurt Warner thing with the Rams, with Falk, and that crew was a bit better. Isaac Bruce and one of them. I just think they got a little bit more over 'em. But they was great. There was a lot of that, I mean, you can look at, I don't know what's going to happen with Miami, but they were, but they didn't never get by New England. That's the only thing. Like, right. And AB belongs in the same conversation with Swan and Star, but again, they got things, but then they came up short. And Bell, that start running he did was a trip. But the offenses that I saw, I'd say those teams come to mind. I'd say the 49ers, San Diego Chargers in the 80s. AB. Let's see. Talent-wise, depends on what you saw. Skill set-wise, yeah. As somebody who saw John Stewart and Lynn Swann, he was like a combo of both in a way, because he had the athleticism. He did the Swan stuff during the season. And he could run like Stewart. He was incredible. Stewart lasted longer. If AB lasted as long as John Stewart, I'd say first ballot Hall of Fame. I'd say for sure, skill-wise. And I'll say this about AB. He precursed Tyreek Hill. I can't give him that because it's too incomplete for me. I mean, he's just one of those guys that's a would almost, just didn't quite for me. I got much respect for Megatron. He was a carpet muncher. Probably the one guy that was like, just tore you up. But yet, I didn't quite feel, for me, I can't put him in my top 5. Just can't. I like the stats. I thought he was bad. But I don't put him in the same class when I talk about Jerry Rice, T.O., Randy Moss. Those guys just move me more. I think it comes down to who moves you more. He bad, though. But I don't look at him better than some of these other guys. Mike Evans is just a victim of playing on a low scale tier team that doesn't get a lot of coverage. And he had to go through 11 different quarterbacks. Brady and him connected, and names with Baker Mayfield. And unfortunately for a receiver, unless he's a special freak of nature where he oozes his enthusiasm, he's not going to get the credit he deserves, and he's a victim of it. Because if he played for San Francisco or for Dallas, he would definitely get more acknowledgement because his stats speak for themselves. But you got Baker Mayfield as your quarterback, and you kept 1,000 yards, you kept your, and you got a ring and all that, but they don't really give Mike Evans his due. He's basically getting an Andre Reed situation. As a talent, yeah, but he didn't quite fulfill it all the way. Skill set, freakish, size, freakish, just didn't feel it. Didn't finish the line. I can't put them guys with Randy Moss, who had the greatest footwork I ever seen, or T.O., who was just that I just can't put them guys in that conversation. Now, for their respective eras, but that was a window. I think if Julio and them finished that Super Bowl off, he might have more variety. But now, I can't think of his butt, who played for Cleveland and came to New England, the receiver. And that cat should have been a Hall of Famer, too. I can't think of he played, the Patriot brought him, but can't think of him right now. But that's the guy that should have been a Hall of Famer. Tight ends, for me, we're going to start with Gronk. We're going to go Shannon Sharp, Kelsey, Kellen Winslow Sr., what's his butt with the Chargers? He belongs on there. I'll come back to him in just a second. Because tight ends didn't come up so far in the recent memory that there was a time a tight end was kind of like the last thought. Tony G was like the prototype to he was an athletic big type. The only problem I had with Tony G is that he didn't have enough. He didn't come up. He didn't have those kind of moments, and it wasn't all his fault. He just didn't have the Kelsey big moments with the right quarterback to solidify and seal the deal. But if you're asking me athletically, yeah, athletically, I'm gonna tell you someone. It's just like when you ask me about, I look at you take Tony G over Kelsey. I take Aaron Hernandez over Gronk. But Aaron Hernandez, as you know, shortchanged his career, and we didn't get all that out of him. I thought he was more of a freak, if you ask me. Gates, Antonio Gates with the Chargers. So that's 5 right there that come to mind. Because Gates was bad for the Chargers. Who else would I pick on? That was a great tight end. Because I got to go back in time. I got to really go back in time with a lot of them. Because you got to remember, the tight end takeover has been happening more in the last 10 years, where they've been more like receivers. They get more attention. It wasn't always the case. See, I don't know how far back your football goes. A lot of these guys, when we talk tight ends, that's in the last 15, 20 years that they got more catches and attempts. Tight ends used to didn't get to be. Shannon Sharp kind of made it happen. Kellen Winslow Sr. was the first guy I saw that his athleticism, freakism came up, but most of it, it wasn't as much as it is now. Like what you saw with Gronk, what you saw with Kelsey, So it all depends on what what your era and your criteria is. But most of the tight ends I'm going to mention were from another era, primarily because they were more used as, he was good. I can't put him as great, but he was good. Again, different era. That's like saying Jay Novacek for Dallas, or saying Dan Casper. Dan Casper. Casper, he used to play, who had that fumble recovery. Casper with the Raiders, and he went to the Oilers. Yeah. Again, different era. Tight ends meant different things back then. They were more blocking. They caught. They were physical. But they weren't guys who were getting 1,000-yard seasons and competing with receivers. This has been like a recent phenomenon. That's why guys can replace guys. That's why when Shannon Sharp, when you had people talking about that Gronkowski was like a Shaq, and you mentioned that. Okay, so cornerbacks, throw me some names, and I'm going to tell you where I rank them, because I got to think about that. I got to throw some names. I want to mention Rod Woodson. Not Woodson, but my Michigan boy who played with the Raiders. God. Let me get my phone out. Woodson, yeah. Woodson would be in there, Charles. Let me see what else I want to pick on. I mentioned Darryl Green already, so forgive me if I don't always put him in spots. Green is the fastest cat I saw. I mean, you run down Eric Dickerson, you run down Dorsett. He was one of my favorites. I had a buddy back, one of my best friends right now back in Hampton, Virginia. Loved Darryl Green. He was like, we used to call him DJ Junior almost. He ran fast too, my homeboy Lamont. And Darryl Green was somebody that, and he played for all them years, and he still was running fast. He still wanted to fast. He was still running fast. If Rod Woodson fits that criteria, I throw him in there. Speedster, versatility, all that. Obviously, I think if Champ Bailey fits that criteria, yep. Reeves Island. See, I like Bailey. Reeves was very good and had a strong moment. I don't know if I hold him into the high acclaim as he wants to be held, but he was bad. Champ was nice. I remember when Champ was with Denver and they shut Brady down. It was 20 years ago. Remember that playoff game? Don't throw his way. That's when cats be in their peak and prime. You either didn't throw their way or you didn't run their way if you were smart. So those guys come to mind. Is Richard Sherman in that? I gotta think about it. Cause see again. And who else I want to pick on? Yeah, I don't like Rhonda. You remember, don't you? Yeah, Tiki was a tap dancer. And then Tiki got that girlfriend pregnant, broken with the wife. That was crazy. And then the Giants won the Super Bowl. But they loved, Tiki was like Carlton Banks. And they kept his behind cover too. Rondy was bad. I still remember that pick 6 against Philly in the NFC Championship game. Rondy was bad. He was bad. It's just that he played with a who's who on defense. And that's the only reason why he didn't get more shine. Ty Law, good call. Ty was bad 20 years ago in New England. He definitely was putting a lockdown. He was huge for Belichick. Huge on defense. I really respected his game. I still remember the Super Bowl against the Rams. He just timed things really well. He was definitely important. You ain't lying, because Tiki was tap dancing so blatant with it. Rondy always stayed cool, but Rondy, you couldn't sell Rondy though, and you know why. These folks love a tap dance and sell out brother. Tiki was nice when he stopped fumbling the ball. Once he actually got some super glue and held that rock, he was cool. But I remember that whole thing. I remember the whole thing with him and that whole thing went down. But no one was tripping on Tiki because Tiki was grinning. He was Carlton Banks, and he was kind of like Cuba Gooding Jr. One of them brothers that another day, another time, you get that Mike Tirico on, you say that's just a tan. You get your Van Diesel on, you say that's just a tan. That ain't all black. That's just a tan. That's just the sun. He was, yeah. And if he had an NFL career to match, because I know no matter what he says, he's got to be sick that Michael Strahan came out of the Giants and got more endorsements than him. He got to be, because he was set up for it. Yep. And he talked trash. You remember that too, because he did talk some backhand smack about him. Yep, he sure did. And see, when a white boy calls you out and says you tap dancing and shuffling, I don't know what's more embarrassing. So, because Tiki talked trash. Tiki, you should keep that Mac talk going, but and when he, like I said before, when he stopped fumbling, he got all right. That's why the Giants tolerate him, because he could move, but he was fumbling a lot. He fumbled a whole lot. He was a good back. Not great, but he was good. So, good call on that, though. We had Ty Law. And that's what I just got through saying. The wife had twins, too. The Japanese chick, and he went with that newscaster chick. I remember that. And he was all setting himself up for... And at the time, nobody cared because Tiki was a crossover brother. Now, if he did that, they probably... But no one said nothing. No one said nothing. And the wife was bad, too, but, I never took him serious. Because I expect that in that line of entertainment, it happens all the time. If you knew how half these cats get down, you wouldn't appreciate none of them, most of them. He just happened to be, he did no different than a lot of them do. You just don't hear about it because of where he played and who he played for. If Tiki Barber had played for the Chargers or the Broncos, you never hear that. But he had a notoriety. And they put some camera time on him. And they wanted to put him on the camera, It didn't really backfire against him per se. So. Well, OJ's situation is way different. And they ain't getting his way with him and Nicole. And matter of fact, they That wasn't into the whole 94 thing. Yeah, Michael Irvin, well, yeah, he be out there wilding. And Shannon Sharp had that false acquisition situation, but what happened with Sharp is that he had to fine tune himself. So when he came back with Skip, then he had personality. He just had that somebody to fall. It's kind of like the good cop, black cop, white cop. So Michael Irvin was a hired hand, so but cats do got to be careful. OJ never got in trouble for that because the women didn't have a problem with juice. I ain't never, for all that stuff, no one ever said OJ held anybody. They were down with juice. Michael Irvin got cut in trouble for putting a hand, which really wasn't a hand, and Shannon Sharp got, because, but, cats who get in trouble for something, it depends on what it is. Well, yeah. Well, Stephen A., the reason is because that, what's that cat that's taking over now? The white boy that does the NFL commentary. He's getting paid more millions. He was hanging out with Aaron Rodgers. That cat is why they gonna run Stephen A. out. They got Shannon Sharp in there. They don't need three wheels. Molly is none, they may either keep her or they may take her, send her off with Stephen A. He didn't get no wake-up call. He done what he did. He did what the master wanted him to do. It's just that he doesn't appeal enough to get that bag. He's an old black dude who he has an appeal, but he don't have enough appeal. They want to get younger and more hipper, and of course cheaper. It's cheaper to get somebody, but him defending Jerry Jones ain't why they let him go. They all defend Jerry Jones. They never made a big deal about that case. So, that picture, or that case too, because Jerry Jones got in trouble for fondling. They didn't say nothing about it. It's like Robert Kraft. So, ESPN is just another plantation. And I tell you, if you watch my video and you hear what I say, they have a hand-picked Negroes, like Mike Tirico being a freak. Yeah, and Kimberly Martin gonna be worse than both of them put together. That's what they want. That's what they want. They lynch brothers, but they need black folks to sell. That's the behind thing. You know how they did Jamel Hill and Michael Smith. They want to act like they appealing to black folks, but they want to lynch you at the same time. So, that plantation is a joke. But Malika, again, that's how they get put on. That's how they get put on. They never talk about the owner's discretions. They never talk about the general manager's discretions or the manager's discretions. It's always about the players because it's a plantation mindset. I tell you all the time. That's how they look at the athletes as field hand. That's what Colin Kaepernick said. That's what Dwayne Wade said. It's a slave auction. Well, remember Rob Parker told you he was a cornball brother. And he shuffled and happy to be on the plantation. His NFL career got derailed, so now they used him. And he don't mind being used. He don't mind being used. Because, again, this real don't last forever. Where's Jalen Rose at? And they got Jacoby over on Fox. But Jalen ain't got that gig, but Jalen was more authentic. They don't like that. To an extent. But he's going to be a loudmouth combative with Stephen A. to an extent. But they're not going to let him go too crazy. Don't get your hopes up too high because they don't want him too black on there. He did. Because when Terrell Owens came out and said that Kellerman was blacker than Stephen A., that definitely shook him up. But Kellerman was. I told you, Kellerman is kind of like dang. Judd Nelson was in New Jack City. If you seen Judd Nelson had the glasses to hang out with Ice-T and he got cool. I'm like, when did Judd Nelson get so cool? That's how I look at Kellerman. Kellerman got real cool. Real cool. Got real down too. He just kept it. He shot from the hip. He talked, and he was a great compliment. But they don't want that. They don't want that. If you had Max Kellerman, Shannon Sharp, and Stephen A. Smith right now, you'd have the baddest sports setup going because Kellerman and Sharp would be intriguing, and Stephen A. could kind of tap on the side. They didn't want that. Instead, they dig up this old Mad Dog who's decent in a Joe Pesci, New York kind of way, but you know, yeah, because Michael Rappaport, they play in that code, that New York code. I can't stand his racist behind. And he's a Z-list actor. And if you saw him in Higher Learning, he is the skinhead he portrayed. And you can tell him I said so. Because I told him it on Twitter, X. Skinhead. And an overrated actor. Z-level as far as I'm concerned. Because that's you into them New York artsy type of films. You ain't feeling that turkey. You know, so I don't pay Rappaport no mind. Just like Will Kane, they always bring these white boys who are Fox News or, you know, low-key bigots. Dan Orlowski, who if I go on YouTube right now to look at one of his career highlights, I think it's 2 minutes. And I think the commercials are probably about 1:30. So I got 30 seconds of his career highlights, which pretty much was starting Pop Warner, him wearing a Lions hat, him drinking some Gatorade and taking a sack. Because I don't really remember his career. Just like I had a buddy ask me about Sean Salisbury and some of these, I said, I don't remember his career. I watched him. Yeah, Mad Dog's one of them old white boys. I mean, the Joe Pesci type. Yep. Knowledgeable, but then when he came out and said Shaq was barely top 5, I'm like, what? Them guys were looking at him crazy. That's what Bob Ryan said at Miss too, and he low-key racist too, and Collinsworth. Collinsworth was a top 2.5 tier receiver back in the 80s. 2.5. Played with Kid Anderson, got to a couple Super Bowls, and got hooked up. But he was never this dude. But they give him this lifetime pass to pontificate and say all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. So, I don't pay no mind. Don't pay no mind. Aikman's the truth. Troy got more soul than he got credit for. Because a lot of times with Troy, you thought, okay, he a white boy. He just going to be on milky toasty. But he gets up there and he be firing off some thoughts. He be firing some thoughts off. And I'm going to tell you something. He wouldn't have tolerated some of the mess that Dallas does now. Because that man, when he learned under Jimmy Johnson, and he quarterback, that man figured out some things to do. So, different kind of quarterback. But he's doing great in the booth. I mean, yeah, he's been great in the booth. I like to hear him articulate. He definitely found his niche. Him and old Buck. Even though Buck be one of them old stiff white boys, though, sometimes when I listen to him talk and articulate. But they good together. They are good together. And Aikman's on point. Even though, well, yeah, because Romo got the privilege because Jerry Jones put a word in for him to get that gig. And he fits in great. I like Tony Romo on his analyst. I think he is a great football analyst. How great he is, he ran a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's got 2 rings into the studio and Phil Simms. Took him off from Jim Nance. That's how great Romo is. But yeah, he has to kiss the ring because Jerry put that together. Don't think for a moment that these white folks be like, oh, we need to go find who. And Jerry puts in the call and says, yeah, put him on. This ain't by accident. But he good though. He's on point. I like him, man, but he has to kiss the ring. No, Aikman don't do it because Aikman didn't see both sides of Jerry. He know. He didn't see both sides. And he hated it that Jimmy Johnson got fired for Barry Switzer because that took off about 2 or 3 years of his career. Oh, yeah, well, Steve Smith be talking, but they and usually when they have a brother who talks real talk on these shows, they put him in a designated area. They don't want him to be too mainstream lies. But I remember he got into it with that Kansas City receiver or something, and dude got all mad and got hurt, but Steve Smith called it like he saw it. I have no problem. I'm going to tell you this about Steve Smith Sr. He was the Allen Iverson of receivers, undersized, but pound for pound, he get in your butt. He never had a top-tier quarterback in Carolina. He got to the NFC Championship with Dacres at home, but he didn't get to play with no Cam Newton. He didn't get to play with, and he was a one-man show. So they would double, triple team him. So, I always dug Steve. He's a very underappreciated, one of those guys. He's a tough dude. But, yeah, you know how that go. You can't be too black. Yeah, he do. Even though overrated as a coach, used to sit there and slop on Belichick and I ain't gonna kiss his ring. But yeah, he be doing his commentator. I don't think he belong on those sidelines, and I know his brother doesn't belong on those sidelines, be no defensive coordinator, but throwing his hair on the wind. But he do give it true. He do be hitting it hard though. He know how soft these cats are out here. He know how soft these teams are. So I have no problem when a cat tells it like it is. Keep it 100. I have no problem with it at all. So. Because he's gone corporate, that's why. You ask, I like it when you ask, he went corporate. He ain't gonna act like a flake. See, the reason why the gap between 1 and 2 between him and Jerry Rice is almost like from, I don't know where you live, or from where you live to the North Pole, the South Pole, is because ethics. Randy Moss had to put that effort in to match his skill set. He not only would have been arguably the greatest receiver, and to some people he is, but he would have been one of the greatest football players ever, period. And a freak athlete, a freak. But yeah, he's on TV and cut his hair, and he's, because if you remember, his old interviews were no different than Rasheed Wallace. He play hard, bro. But once corporate got a couple dollars in him, they buttered him. That's what they do. So, and oh yeah, Woodson always there. Woodson got called slurs when he played because he's half black, half white. And he said that in the game back in 92, 93. And it hurt him. But yeah, Rod's always been a cool cat. Rod's one of the baddest talents ever, cornerback, and can run too. Because he ran back, kickoff, return, punts. Rod was bad. Rod was bad. One of my favorite players. But you generally know some of the cats that keep it real and some of the cats that be shuffling. So, and they love shuffleboard, especially when you're black. They love shuffleboard. So, yeah. I was trying to think. Who else did I was another cornerback I was trying to think of. Somebody else will come to mind. There was somebody else I was thinking of. But, yeah. Sean Taylor. That's what I was going to think if you play corner, because I got to put my thinking cap on. And I want to say Ken Houston, too. Mm-hmm. So that's slowly coming back, because I'm going back to them questions. But yeah. I like Samuel, just he dropped that pass against Eli. But I remember when he made that pick against Peyton Manning. I mean, he didn't throw too much his way. Oh, yeah, and he dissed Belichick, if you remember. He said it was all Brady. Yeah. He still got words, too. Yeah, he was a bad dude. He was a bad dude. He was a bad dude. Yeah, if he'd have intercepted that pass that Eli threw to him, things may have been different with how people look at that. Because he had a chance. Eli threw that pick. So. But yeah, he keeps it real too. Asante be telling him. Because he definitely let it be known where he stood on the Brady Belichick's. So, yeah. So, yeah. He did. I remember when he went off about the college, what was that speech he did? Black school, he was, yeah, he did. And that's why they don't give all the brothers a camera and a tape. They don't want you talking too much because it's like this guy might get like Fred Sanford and put some ripple, and he might say whatever. So, but I liked Ed a lot. Ed's one of my favorites, and he was bad to the bone. And he do talk. Yeah, they don't like it when you call the leagues a plantation. They don't like it when you talk about what you see. They don't. But I don't know how else what you would call it because they don't take care of their players, so and they protect their assets to what they want. So yeah. So hold on. So that's how I look at that. But it really is one of my favorites. Yeah, Ray, once he got some TV time, they put some texturizer in his hair. Definitely. I mean, he sounds like one of them broke deacon ministers that they got bought and paid off in these presidential, kind of like T.D. Jakes, you know. Okay. Top favorite 7, Bob Gibson, you know, before my time, but Bob Gibson, Satchel Paige, Steve Carlton, Tom Seaver, Roger Clemens, Greg Maddox, 6. Peggy Martinez, that's 7. I tell you, Gaylord Perry, because I still don't know what he did with the ball, but he got over. So I give him his props. Fergie Jenkins was bad. Juan Marcel. Tom Glavine. Two guys that if they had a full career, I would have definitely put them on there. Well, 3. I said Vita Blue, Ron Guidry, Dwight Gooden. You know, me and Nolan Ryan, I respect his stats, but I was never blown away by him. I got into it with a buddy of mine. Never, I don't know, he just didn't move me. I think because for a couple things, I thought he was an average pitcher until he got to the Astros. He pitched a long time, he was tough. But I always thought that he had many wins as losses. And he threw all those no-hitters with stats, but I wasn't blown away with him as a great pitcher. I just didn't look at him like Clemens to me was a better version of him. Dwight Gooden is the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Should have been the modern day Bob Gibson and a precursor to Pedro because he had the stuff. CC was tough. He's one of those guys you kind of forget. He was tough. But if I say CC Sabathia, I got to say Fernando Valenzuela because Fernando moved me more. And Fernando was a movement in LA. You know. Or I could say Mark the Bird Fidrich. See, you got to remember what era I come from when I saw different players. They're guys, it's like Ron Guidry had that 25-3 year with the Yankees, or Vita Blue back in the 70s, or, you know, and I mentioned Dwight Gooden. You know. John Smoltz, bad white boy, could pitch. Mm-hmm. So it all depends what your criteria is. I think Garrett Cole was better with the Astros. He's a bad when he's healthy and focused. You know, it all depends. All depends. All depends. So, but yeah, I can name him. Satchel Paige because he was like 58 when he pitched in Major League, and his arm juice was still better than most. He was a scary beast. You know, so. Barry Bonds, duh, for me. Willie Mays. Willie McCovey. Willie Stargell. That's 4 right there. Reggie Jackson. Mark McGuire. Harmon Killebrew. I guess before my time, you could throw Babe Ruth in there. Who else would I say? Sammy Sosa. Because I don't care what you say. That dude was putting up crazy numbers year in, year out. And he could hit. Couldn't do much else, but he could hit. He had no glove, but he could hit. Manny Ramirez. Dave Ortiz. Alex Rodriguez. King Griffey Jr. Albert Bell. Canseco. Yeah, I give Canseco that dude. Canseco was bad. He was bad. I think of him as an all-around player, aside from the ball hit him in the head. But when he was actually, he cared and he was doing things, he was a bad boy. He was a bad boy. He was a bad boy. My personal favorites also would be Mike Schmidt. When Dale Murphy, because Dale Murphy was somebody I liked a lot in Atlanta. Eddie Murray could hit. You don't get his due, switch hitter. Of course, people talk about Mickey Mantle switching. Frank Thomas, but I like Frank's all-around game. Frank, to me, I look at him more like the American League version of Tony Gwynn because he slapped the ball. He got different ways of hits. He came up big, but I look at him as an all-around hitter. I didn't just see him as a one-trick pony. And that's not a diss because power hitters, Barry Bonds is a testament that he wasn't just a one-trick pony, but I look at Frank kind of like I look as like the American League version of Tony Gwynn. That's how I look at him. So, but yeah. And back in the day, I would have said George Foster with Cincinnati. Guy had incredible stroke. You know, so. Yeah, he could hit though, but yeah, he got to Boston and he was definitely clucking. But that's what they like. That's what they like. He knew where he was at. He knew where he was at. Jim Rice too. Mm-hmm. Jim Rice. Yeah, Mo Vaughn was talented, but that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted. Oh yeah, Albert was outspoken. He knew. Frank was a dancer too, but so. But yeah, those guys come to mind. Underrated power hitter would probably be George Brett, because George could hit. I still remember the Pine Tar game against the Yankees. Goose Gossage. Brett got all that ball, and remember when he went off. But George Brett was a bad boy. He was a bad boy, and he definitely had power. He was big time, because he was flirting with 400 too. So, yeah. I did. I said Mike Schmidt. Piazza. The only reason why I don't really talk about Piazza, great hitter, but had a sorry excuse for an arm. But yeah, had one of the prettiest strokes you could imagine. Hit that ball, and he cuffed that thing like he was golfing. But I don't really care for him personally. One of my Pison, tame white boys who be talking reckless. But yeah, as a hitter, a bad boy. Bad boy. And I could also say Pudge Rodriguez too, because Pudge could hit. And Miguel Cabrera. Miguel bad too. But Schmidt was my favorite third baseman growing up. And Piazza could hit. Jim Tomei is underrated. He could hit too. Once he stopped doing them 99 things in the batter's box, he could hit. So yeah. Lil Chef, he would be one of my favorites. He don't make that top 7, but he's one of my favorites. I like that shuffle that he did with his bat. Yeah, quick. He get on that ball quick. He hit that. He shuffle his hands with that bat. He get that ball quick. Chef is underrated talent. Underrated. Too black too though. Spoke out on some stuff, but he could hit. Should be Hall of Fame bound too. He used to work out with Barry Bonds too. So, but he could hit. So yeah, when you talk about, I hate I didn't say his name early in this card because again I had to think of guys immediately, but he's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. He was the link between Bonds and Griffey Jr. Great stroke, had it all. Too black in the ghetto sense, not too black in the political sense. He just did a lot of what we call Mookie and Pookieism, but not from necessarily him speaking out anything, but a freaky talent. Cecil, yeah, Prince had a chance, but Cecil definitely with Detroit. Because he was like a throwback. He could straight up hit. And in that little tiny tinky part, Cecil could pull that rock. If I'm going to keep naming names, I'll probably say Ben Ogilvie and Cecil Cooper too. Robin Yount would get some strong consideration there too. Joe Carter, Dave Winfield. So it's a lot of guys that come to mind. Prince Fielder had a moment. He had a moment. But Cecil was with it though. Those guys come to mind. Pedro Guerrero. Mm-hmm. So I got guys I can think of. I mean, if I go back old school, I might even say Tony Armas when he was with Oakland. Mm-hmm. So, again, yeah, Giambi, even though he wasn't that much with the Yankees, but in Oakland, he was a stat pattern. Yankee era was decent, but not the same dude. And after he got thrown out at home plate by Jeter, and he came to the Yankees, he was, he had moments. But that Oakland dude, he was putting up crazy numbers. Oh, I enjoyed it too. They need to bring it back. They really do. I don't think it ever ended. I don't even think it really. I think baseball has done such a hocus pocus with the mindset. They have what we call second, third tier pitchers. Guys don't even pitch 3 or 4 innings no more. So they're like short order cooks, fry cooks, side cooks, dishwashers, busboys. So you can't really tell how good they really are, or how bad. You know they're not worth to get $5 million in a 5 ERA. Balls are juiced, ballparks are inserted inward. It's a lot of manipulation at work. A lot of manipulation. Yeah, okay. And I'm almost 20 years older, and I saw it all too. Because I was around when that time was going on. And I enjoyed it. Because I remember in 94 when they wrecked the greatest baseball season ever. And Bud Selig had Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and Mark McGwire all saying chicks dig the long ball. Did that on purpose because they knew they had wrecked things. So when the year of McGwire and Sosa, they had to bring it back. And baseball was too slow and boring for the Joe average head. So we needed to get them balls flying out of there. And they did. Hit that thing like a piñata. And all kinds of guys got in on it. But I will tell you this. For people trying to label it and saying that, no. Because Bonds, McGwire, Sosa, even Rafael Palmeiro, that's all Hall of Famers. Rafael Palmeiro got 500 home runs and 3,000 hits. Now, he just was on a no accountable teams, and he had what we call stat padding. But that's true. They did. They did. There's a lot of factors involved. Juice balls, the mound, the pitching. It's not the same no more. Location, strike zones aren't accurate. It's a lot of factors. It's a lot of factors. It's not the same baseball where you grew up seeing a guy pitch complete games, throw almost 10 shutouts a year, winning 20 games, those type of things that are lost now. They're lost. So it's a lot of things going on. So, they manipulated it to sell a product, but that's all. Well, he spoke out with that book, but they didn't want him, And again, he was probably the most celebrity baseball player in recent memory in the sense that, messing with Madonna, and he had the 1-900 numbers. He really connected multiculturally in a baseball sense when most guys just really didn't, besides from their playing. They pushed Alex Rodriguez, they pushed Jeter, Bonds a little bit, Griffey Jr. But Canseco was like a guy that brought that merch and that MTV culture. He really was. He really was. And he was charismatic. But yeah, he knew too much and he spoke the truth. They know what's up. And besides, you can't say steroids makes you into a Hall of Fame player because you got to have skills at the end of the day. If you're great, you're a great talent. If you're not, you're just gonna be a one-year wonder. And a lot of these guys came, went, and got a check, and that's it. Canseco was legit. He was legit. Did some suspect moves and stuff, but he was legit. If they thought he was a Hall of Famer, they put him in. I mean, they know he's a Hall of Famer, but they're going to put Fred McGriff in before Canseco. It's just crazy. They know he's a Hall of Famer. And I like McGriff, but Canseco was better. Oh, yeah, Clemens is the best right-handed pitcher I've seen in my lifetime. Arguably the greatest pitcher I've ever seen. For the simple fact how he reinvented himself, because he was not the same cat in Boston, which he morphed into with Toronto, which he morphed into with the Yankees, which he did with Houston 20 years later. He was a workhorse, big country redneck white boy, bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Yeah, he's no different than Brett Favre, dirt road white boy, but he got pitches behind off, and he was a winner, and he was huge. And put your biases aside or whatever you think, what you observe, that cat was money. So he should be a Hall of Famer. But they have to make a token white boy out of somebody. And since he usually fits what they want in Middle America with 3 Ks, but he a little too, he could still tell you about locations today. I saw him on some show, and he was talking about the knees and the pitch. He was working with his son. Something he was with his son, because his son plays. Yeah. They get in his son in Toronto, somebody like that. Forgot. But anyway, he was talking about locations and zones. He still got it. He was a bad boy. So, good call on that. So. But steroids in all sports, man. They in the NBA, they're in the NFL. Ain't nothing new. They just seal it up better. They seal it up. They got drugs and everything you can imagine. Your horses can get stuck, but you think a thoroughbred in your leg's gonna get stuck. You think LeBron James is gonna escape the pain? Yeah, because Ortiz played the game. They got him on Major League Baseball Network. He grinned, showed those white teeth, non-threatening, put a little S curl on him. And he know how to talk. He got coached so good that they forget all about it, because he wasn't a threat. He looked like us, but he ain't us. Difference between him and Barry Bonds. And they don't forget. A-Rod's going to get in like in a Tony Romo kind of way because of being a great broadcast analysis. Charismatic, but he be acting though. But he'll get in. I mean, he should as a player, but he's getting in because they endorsed him on the low. That's the backdoor way. Left up to their own devices, he don't get in. But because he's bought some credibility as an announcer, even though he tried to blame the drugs on his cousin. Yeah, okay. So, I'll be watching these cats. So, well, the thing about Barry Bonds, he should be a manager. He could still teach you. He knows. I seen him break it down. He was giving a seminar in Frisco, breaking it down on video about the zone, and he knows all that. But he, again, he didn't kiss the ring. He Kareem Abdul-Jabbar them folks, and they held it on, and they hold it against you. And then anything that's suspicious or anything, that's another 20 years against you. You're too black, that's 30. So it's like a sentence of, I don't know, it's like a life sentence. You get in when you're about 75. They're going to make you wait. Yeah, McGuire can flat out hit. That power stroke was no joke. McGuire had crazy range. Great talent. Good first baseman. But yeah. Yeah, but Dusty knows how to parlay though. Dusty's credit, he didn't definitely know how to parlay. That's why he kept getting gigs. because he knew how to politic. He's still black, but he knew how to politic enough. You know, he made himself available, and they work with him. But he know how the game go. But yeah, Bonds with the Giants, definitely. But they weren't scared of him, though. Even though if they had won that World Series in 2002, they'd have had a hard time dealing with him. Believe me, they were a lot more happy that he won that ring with the Astros in 2022 than they were with him if he had won in 2002 with the Giants and Barry. Believe that. Him winning with Mexican and white players is a lot more easier than him and Bonds for the media. I'll give you that. He will. He did get a job recently. I think it's with the LA Angels. I think he did. Well, he led them to 2 World Series, and but again, there's so much politics with that game. Black managers don't get the same treatment as their white counterparts. Even if you're like Cito Gaston, you might get a one-trick pony ride. Depends on who you are. They hate on Cito. And again, he doesn't get talked about like his white counterparts do. But he won. They'll tell you about Joe Madden, Bruce Bochy, who I give Bochy his due. I never saw Bruce Bochy. When he played baseball, he was below average catcher with the Astros. I remember when he played, he was, but as a manager, this guy, he's on some Sparky Anderson. He's like scary bad. So you never know. Opportunity. You never know. But yeah, it's always about opportunity. But Cito's the truth, though. I see in baseball, you got to do is win once. You win twice, you're in special company. Because it's a hard sport to win multiple rings in. Don't let Joe Torre fool you with the Yankees. That's not the norm. That's not the norm. Oh, yeah, Torre was bad, but that's not the norm. Lou Piniella, it's not the norm. Baseball is a tough sport to win multiple rings in. It really is. That's why what Bruce Bochy's doing is incredible. It's incredible. To be a baseball manager with 4 rings. I mean, we win rings with the Texas and the Giants, and he had the Padres. I mean, he did great where he go. That's rare. Piniella had it like that too. Had he won in Seattle though, been even bigger though. But yeah. So yeah. Those are some good guys. Because I definitely like those cats. So yeah, Torre came up big. Hit with the Yankees. The thing with the Dodgers didn't quite work out, but he put a good effort in, though. So, yeah. But he did win with Florida. So I can't knock him. He did win. Didn't work in Pittsburgh, but he did win. But like I said, baseball is one of those sports. If you win 1 ring as a manager, you're considered great. especially then you go wins and losses. Because baseball is one of the most honest sports where it's tough to be a dominant manager because you're going to lose a lot. So he got a ring, you know. And then you're like right there with Earl Weaver. You're right there with Cox, you know. So there you go. So that's what I say with that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's how I kind of look at that with those guys. So, yeah. So, anyway, we're going to keep on talking. Give myself another 10, 15 minutes. See what's going on. See what we got. So that's how I look at that, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. See what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. See if you got any more questions. I'll give it a couple more minutes. Been great, though. Been on for almost a couple of hours. Been great. Definitely enjoyed the questions, as always. And I'm coming back tomorrow, too, on the same time. So, you know, make it a holiday weekend thing. If you celebrate or you don't, just going to do a 2-part. See what we got. So, it's definitely been on point. And we'll see what we got. Give it a few more seconds, a few minutes. I got to go start cooking, too. The brother is hungry. You know. No, it's definitely been. But like I said, I will be back tomorrow. Same time as I start today. Phones be ringing, things be clanging. But anyway, I'm going to give one more minute. If nobody don't come back, call it a day. Well, it's definitely been real being here. And appreciate everybody that showed up. Much respect, Ted. Appreciate all the questions. All the feedback. So, it's all good. Let the machine get everything. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope you have a great evening and a great day. And I will be back in 24 hours and we'll do this again. So, peace and the best. Have a good one. Stay safe out there and appreciate Ted. Everybody came through with questions. See you tomorrow.